Um, okay, so we might just get started and maybe start with you, Andre. Do you want to tell me, just give me sort of a brief breakdown of your shot before we go into it?
Sure. Um, I'm okay. I just wanted something a bit spooky and
Mm,
playing around with the fact that, that he's channeling this energy to try to make the girl come back from the dead,
I
and
see.
ends up being the skull instead of the girl. So that's why I kind of like play around with the intensity of the lights, kind of like almost I don't know, like overpowering the circuits and stuff,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Yep,
with the whole thing.
yep. I mean, I just looking at it, feels like there's been, you've put a lot of work into getting the levels on the candles and then getting that, that spotlight on the girl. Um, it feels like just looking at it, um, without knowing sort of the background to it, it feels like it's a little bit filled, like this, just just what you were saying about wanting this kind of um, to get this kind of emotional connection between the main actor and the girl. Um, my first instinct would be to maybe just take it down. I don't know whether this has been something that you've tried, but
Okay.
I I would, and this is very rough, but I would maybe take down the fill that's kind of um, that's being with the light hitting the walls here, here, and here. I would take that down, and when you do that, you sort of read the localized um, illumination of the candles a little bit, um, I guess more directly, um,
Okay.
like here. Um, so that would be my first instinct.
Hmm.
My second would be just to check the levels on the candles overall. Um, so I feel like there is, if I just bring it down here, there is um, this kind of disproportionate energy in these candles here, um, relative to the other ones. And I don't know whether that is because was there a reason for that, or
No, they're all the same intensity, so I don't know. It might be, I don't know.
okay, maybe a doubling up of the lights, perhaps, maybe on duplication. I assume you kind of duplicated these point lights here to sort of simulate the flame.
Yeah,
Mm,
yeah, but they're I mean, yeah, I don't know. They're all the same intensity,
yep.
the lights. So
Okay, so maybe check that, because it does
hmm.
feel like these ones here um,
Yep.
have got a lot more energy than the other ones.
Uh-huh.
And I'm really liking um, I'm really liking the way the light hits um, this main character here, because the the roll off there is really nice on his face.
Uh-huh.
So that's working really well. Um, and I can see that perhaps there is a an attempt to get this kind of connection between her face and his face, in
Hmm.
terms of like, the amount of illumination.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's, I feel like that's working quite well. Um, and I like the fact that there is, you've got a lot of candles. Um, you've got a lot of candles going around here, which are kind of illuminating the floor. And you've also got a overhead beam shooting down. Um, and that's the I really like this negative space between what the candles are lighting up and this kind of top down light is illuminating on the floor. I'm wondering whether if it is at all possible um, to maybe reduce uh, gone in to maybe um, get some more of that in the back here. So what I mean is, where is my dodge burn? What I mean is maybe just is that working? Just kind of like get more of that.
Hmm.
So that we're sort of reading we're reading the penumbra of the spotlight down, and that's sort of, I guess, it brings into sharper focus this kind of emotional connection that they have.
Uh-huh.
And that would probably be that would probably be it in terms of what I can see right now. I mean, generally it's looking, you know, the lights are doing what they should be doing. Um, yeah, my only comment would be to just to bring down the fill areas, um,
Okay.
and try and get yeah, just a more localized, um, I guess, illumination of the candles on the floor, so that we're able to separate this beam, uh,
Uh-huh.
this beam on top, and how that's falling onto the floor versus the candles, and also check the energy on the candles. But that's pretty much it. As far as the um, when this incantation and when the spell is being cast, I'm wondering again whether we need to. I know that this is a kind of a very pivotal moment where the incantation and the spell is being invoked, and you want to sort of use the light to sort of um, describe the sort of the magnitude of this event. But I'm wondering again whether, because my first instinct is to feel like, is it should it be more localized, and should this energy drop off a lot sooner, so that you you kind of you you kind of read, so the energy is hitting mostly on them, and then it falls off quite quickly. Um, I'm wondering whether you could try that to see whether that sort of reinforces this connection between, um, you know, the spellcaster and the girl, so that you sort of, again, you get a more a more dramatic fall off of the light, so that it's you know maybe more more energy on them, and sort of the energy sort of dissipates more quickly.
Hmm.
Um, I'm wondering whether that's worth exploring. It may be that it's it may not work, and it may be that this is how it should read. But um, anyway, that's my first instinct, is to maybe try and localize that energy
Uh-huh.
more to the characters rather than the environments. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, but that's it. I mean, otherwise it's looking pretty good. It's
All
very
right,
it's yeah, it's looking really good. Okay,
cool. Thank you.
you're welcome. A squared, did you have any work for me to take a look at, or you just want to listen in?
Yeah, I had posted it in the feedback just now, because it was rendering. My apologies.
No, that's fine. Okay.
Also, are you recording? Just to make sure.
Yes, I am recording. Yes.
Cool.
Okay, so let me just download them real quick. Let's see how I can download this thing. Here we go. Okay, 1 second. Okay, let me share screen on that one. Change windows. Let's see whether this is the right one. Oh, can you see your animation or?
Not currently. We're seeing Photoshop still.
Okay, 1 sec. Share screen. Pause preview for your resources.
I think you need to stop sharing the screen and then share the screen again with the
All
other
right,
one.
all
Yeah.
right. Let's try this. Okay, got you. Um, Screens. Okay, maybe I'll just share the screen. Live. Okay. Can you see it come up now?
Yep, I can see it now. Thank you
O-
so much.
Okay. All right. So let's see. Okay. So I see you've adjusted the set from last time, and you've got
Yeah.
that overhang on top has been removed, so we can see the space more clearly. So we can make out the ceiling, and um, I can see that you've lit up the back wall upstairs, and you've got let's see, um, yeah. So it feels a lot more. It's a much grander space now, um, and I see you've worked a little bit more on getting the robot inside sort of lit, just to draw the eye to it. So that's working really well. Generally, it feels like it still feels a little bit um, overfilled. It feels like um, the, the intensity on the lights um, is maybe a little bit high, and you could maybe take down the fill.
Okay.
Is there a general fill light that you're using, like like an IBL or some kind of ambient dome light or something like that?
No, I just have one area light in the middle coming down on the ground,
Yep.
and then I have one light going on the back wall as well.
Okay. I would, you know, I'm feeling that this area light that's hitting the floor, that could, you could take that right down.
Okay.
Yeah,
Some more? All right.
yeah, you could take that right down. I'd say by about 2/3 to maybe 75%.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, it feels it feels like that's the bounce coming off the floor is um, it's 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 reading it's causing a lot of a lot of fill to kind of bounce around. So yeah, just do a few experiments and bringing that down. And I would even try bringing it, like removing that light completely and seeing what you
Mm,
get. And yeah, try that as well. It may be that it gets a little bit dark, but I want to read the sconces on the walls. You know those wall sconces there.
mm,
Um, I'd like to read those more because visually they're the ones. They're the light sources you see on the interior from this angle,
mm,
and that top-down area light that's hitting the floor. Um, what you could do is maybe try moving it outside
mm.
and having it come through the windows, through the glass windows and the opening here, because it feels like you've brought the the exterior inside. Do you know what I mean?
Mm, mm,
So I would move that area light instead of having it top down. I would move it behind camera
mm.
and have it come in through the windows and the and that revolving door.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, and I see you've added a couple of more revolving doors upstairs. Is that right?
That's an elevator between the first and second floor.
Okay, so they're elevators. Okay.
Mm.
Um, yeah. Again, I would. Have you got some blue lights inside the elevators?
Yeah, they're bottom lit. Yes.
Okay, so they're quite um, they're sort of an opportunity to get some dramatic lighting there. And I
Mm,
would to kind of emphasize that I would take the light hitting the walls
mm,
next to them. I would take that right down.
mm.
I would leave the light that's hitting this um, to the left of the elevators. There seems to be like a picture frame of like a uniform or something.
it's like a closet with a display.
Yeah, yeah. So
Um,
that display's really nice as well. So I would, so when you bring the fill down on the walls, that would really pop. So
okay.
yeah, so try bringing the fill down on the walls in general, so that
Okay.
the wall sconces upstairs and downstairs they read, um, I guess more locally.
Mm.
Um, and I see you've lit up the handrails, which is nice. Um, and you see you've got the armchairs lit up a lot more. Um, and that's
Actually
working.
decreased it a little bit.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because the last time they were way overexposed.
Right. Yeah, it's working really well now, actually.
Mm,
Yep. Um, and that's okay. So that light that's hitting the column on screen left, that I'm assuming
mm.
that's the area light, right? That
Yeah,
you
that's the
had.
same area line.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that I feel like when you remove that area light and bring it, behind camera, it
Mm,
won't that column won't feel as flashed.
mm.
It'll come down and recede. Um, yeah, so in general, just bring things down, bring the fill down in general, and make the
Mm,
lights feel more local, and then bring your area lights that's hitting the floor outside.
okay,
Yeah,
that sounds good.
yep. But yeah, I like your progress. It's looking good.
Awesome. Do you mind also taking a look at that second shot I had submitted as well?
Sure. So that's, let me see. All right. Are you able to see it now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Um, let's see. What time of day is this?
Um, kind of like I'm not too sure on what the original, but the way I'm approaching it is it's like getting later in the afternoon because the sequence after this it becomes later in the night. So I'm assuming
Hmm.
it's maybe 3 or 4 o'clock.
Yep. So late afternoon. So the shadows are nice and long, and the sun's sort of moving towards the horizon.
Yeah.
Do you have the same um, the sunlight? Is that the same on the robot as it is on the guy?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I feel like his uniform's really flashed, like it's really bright.
Mm,
Um, I like how he enters into the light from the revolving door, and um, the way the interior lights are giving him a nice kick on his profile there from screen right, so you get to read one side of his face,
mm,
and a little bit on the other side. That's really nice, and that's just coming from the interior lights.
mm.
Um, that's working really well. I'm wondering whether he's a little bit bright, and it may be because of the sun angle. Um,
I can bring him down at his face specifically. I had that similar thought where I can definitely bring that down in comp.
you should try doing it in the lights. You know, just as a rule of thumb, when you know, unless you're doing lighting and comp, um, in general, if you're a lighter, then you try and hit as many of the lighting notes in natively in the lights in the lighting setup,
Mm,
so that when the time comes for comp, they'll they'll do less of the lighting tweaking.
sounds
So
good.
so try and get. Let's see. My sense is that maybe the sun needs to be lowered a little bit more.
What do you mean by lowered?
So the sun angle, um, you
Oh,
know,
okay. The angle. Okay.
the sun angle needs to be lowered a little bit more so that um, he isn't being hit so hard, so harshly.
Mm,
Um, and overall, it's even though it is outside, I feel like again the floor and the walls feel a little bit flashed. So maybe if you could bring down. So outside here, do you have like an IBL or a dome light that's giving this kind of,
it's a single spotlight. Oh yeah, a single spotlight, and I think I actually turned off the dome light
okay, so
for
it's just one spotlight,
yeah, far away.
right? Have you ever used parallel lights or distant lights, or lights that instead of making a spotlight and bringing it really really far away, have you ever used a light that shoots parallel rays that kind of simulates the sun?
No, I've never actually heard of that.
Right. What lighting package are you using?
I'm using V-Ray.
V-Ray, right. Okay, I guess the equivalent would be like a sunlight, which
Mm,
will give you those parallel rays. But I would try, if you ever, you know what? I would try instead of a spotlight, try an area light
mm,
and see what that gives you. Because I feel like a spotlight, it's it gives you this kind of uh, this harshness that I feel that an area light would kind of maybe resolve a bit better. So
mm,
try switch out your spotlight for an area light and,
mm,
move it to a point where it feels like it's emulating the sun. Um, and, focus the throw of the light so that it's not spread out and it's more sort of, the rays are being thrown at a more parallel sort of trajectory and see what you get. I think you'll get a nicer result because it feels really harsh.
mm.
So try that.
Sounds good.
Yeah, yeah. So we're in movie land now, so um, we can kind of play with um, we don't have to be super physically accurate. We could be this could be a set where all the
Mm,
lights are artificial, and um, you know if that being the case, then you would use like a uh, aerolites or a Fresnel or something like that. So
mm,
yeah, just try that just to see if it may or may not work, and it may
mm,
not make any difference. But I think it's worth exploring just to kind of for you to get a sense of how different lights throw the light onto the subject.
mm.
Yeah.
I had done Sun Portal, which is basically it controls the directionality of the dome light that I turned off. The problem that I was getting is the shadows were too sharp. I wasn't getting that nice fall off. In certain
Mm,
areas, it was just chunky a bit, and I tried to in V-Ray. Some of the settings are a little different than I'm used to.
right, right. Mm. Yeah, yeah. Don't worry about using a sun portal. Try
Okay,
try an area light. Yep.
okay,
I think that'll give you
sounds
a
good.
nice sort of softer fall off and shadows.
Thank you, thank you.
Alrighty. Let's see. So I might go back to share screen, stop streaming, go back to where's Photoshop? Okay. Can you see the Photoshop screen now? Hello?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. All right. So we're done with you guys. I might just quickly go through the others that I'd planned to chat about. So this is for Eva. So Eva, this is your first iteration on this scene. Um, I guess my first instinct is to maybe check your sun position. So I feel like you have got a sunlight coming from behind the mountain, and then there's another kind of very localized spotlight here that's coming in front of the cabin, and it feels like um, maybe you should check the directionality of that. And I understand that you're trying to match a reference, but um, one thing you could do is just basically just crank your sunlight around so that it's hitting. the cabin in the same, in sort of the correct angle. So that would be my first instinct. Second one would be um, feels very it feels very purple. The fill areas and the sky that you've used feels like it's probably, you know, there's a lot more blue in it, less magenta. So I would check the, um, you know, what's causing that magenta tint to make that to make the icy fill purple. And also just check your, um, check the uh, the light that's hitting the snow and the trees. Um, it feels like it's very omnidirectional, or there's an energy that's coming this way that doesn't feel warranted. As my reading of it is that the sun direction in general is coming this way. So um, so maybe check that. And also um, the only other thing really is just the reading of the timber slats. Um, Given that there's a lot of, you're in this very, um, you're in this kind of environment with lots of snow. There's a lot of bounce. So the light energy is being bounced off the snow, and it should be hitting the cabin a lot more to, I guess, brighten up the shadow areas. So maybe have a think about that, and um, you know, see whether it's something that's in the shaders that's not getting not passing on the energy that's being bounced through on the snow, or um, you know, maybe check what your IBL or what your dome light's doing. Okay. All right. And then we have Holly, and I see you've got Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon as your reference. And I guess um, my first instinct is to, I guess, this frame, um, I'm really feeling um, just the light, the key light coming um, quite strongly um, on the woman, and I feel like it's either a deliberate thing or something that's missing on the robot character, because I feel like it should be getting hit just as harshly. And given that it's a metallic object, it should be a lot more. Um, the specular highlight should be reading a lot more strongly. Um, and the environment in general, um, except for maybe this frame here, where you do kind of feel it, do feel the light hitting the walls here and the windows, um, and a little bit here. In some of the other angles, it does feel really, it feels like the fill in general could come up. And I understand that, um, this is maybe it's like a cobblestone, bluestone floor, so it's quite dark. But um, given that you've got a spotlight on her that's quite intense, I want to feel more light on the ground here. And also, it'd be nice to get some more light coming from the dome light or the IBL to hit um, to hit the buildings here, because overall it feels very dull. Um, and I'm not seeing separation from the character to the environment, except for, maybe her leg here. So we have visual separation, here, but elsewhere, um, especially around her elbow, here, and definitely this whole robot guy. I'm not feeling any separation from the background, and I feel like, it is quite an intense kind of fight scene. Um, you see that, um, you know, here we have separation. Um, and the environment here, you know, it's a big light that's, coming from above, and I feel like it's giving also quite a bit of illumination on the walls here, and maybe we could have, um, just boost um, that environment light up some more so that we do have a bit more contrast in the shot. And here I feel like, obviously we have light hitting her, but it feels very localized, and I'm not seeing it on the ground. And even though it's quite intense on her, it feels very um, it feels very weak on this robot character here who's lying on the floor. So I would maybe look at bringing, you know, the key that's falling on him up, just so we have, you know, some roll off between the key to the fill. And try, yeah, trying to see the character here, in this last frame here. I feel like she feels very cut out. And if there's a way you could bring, maybe some light, some key light hitting, I know it's, just hitting her at the moment, but I'm wondering whether it could hit, maybe scrape some sunlight into this background building here so that it hits, you know, there are moments where you read the key light um, on the facade here as well as on her, so that there's a kind of a connection between the character and her environment. Again, you could get that that key hitting this robot that's lying on the floor here as well. Okay. All right. And then James, I see you've progressed from the last iteration where, um, you've kind of adjusted the fill. I know we talked about in space there's no atmosphere, so the light the light energy dissipates very quickly. So, um, essentially, most of the time you're just getting the key light. So I feel like you've really addressed that quite well, here. Um, and so it feels like it's a lot more of a unified image now that you have a central key coming, and the fill has been reduced. You really read that key light, which is great. My only comment would be um, more of a compositional thing. Um, and I feel like there's kind of a disproportionate amount of attention that's been given to this kind of rock element here, and it's taken up maybe about a third of the screen. And I'm just wondering whether you could play around with the framing of this a little bit more. Um, Obviously, when you go into crop mode, that you get the you get the thirds break up for the image, and there's a there's a rule called the rule of thirds in photography and cinematography, where these lines are broken up, and you try to kind of line them up according to um, how they're broken up into thirds. So if I were to, use that rule on this, I would probably do this. Um, and let's see, I'd probably go something like this. Um, but have a play with that. I would I would suggest that it compositionally feels weighted too much onto this element um, on screen left here, and um, try cropping it and see what you get. Where is the crop tool? Yeah, I would probably do something like that. Um, yeah, but that's pretty much it. If anything else, maybe this arm's reading a little bit flashed here. I would try and bring that down. Um, I would try bringing this whole thing down. See what you get. Yep, that's it. But it's looking great. It's really progressed. All right, guys. I don't know if you guys are still here, but I think that's pretty much it for this week. Do you guys have anything else that you'd want me to look at, or?
No, that
Um,
would be it for me.
Yep.
I had
Okay.
sent I had sent you a private message and was wondering if you had time to chat.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can chat. Sure. Yep.
Oh,
Um,
I have one question, just to try to schedule myself. What is your plan as far as next week for critiques? Are you doing only the Saturday, or are you doing written critiques during the week?
yeah, during the week, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'll try and do a bunch, and then on
Okay.
Saturday I'll do a live critique.
All right. Cool.
Alrighty. So yeah, send your stuff through, and yeah, I'll get back to you on the Tuesday and the Thursday, and then on the Saturday I'll do the live critique. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. Thanks very much.